This is the second half of the lesson 1 to 13, 1 to 14 project for 6M6 stuff, project we're doing in my class, where we're doing a full numerical analysis and statistical analysis of a question that you are exploring, that's interesting to you. And again, NBA three-pointers, NBA is something that's interesting to me, the number of three-point shots that's happening in the league, and what does it look like for the various teams, and who's shooting well and how well they're doing was kind of interesting question I wanted to explore. So I went and I got some data off the internet, and now I'm doing all of this statistical analysis around that data that you'll be doing in class on your statistics project, maybe this week. So let's switch over and continue with this lesson that I'm teaching you, that's focused exactly on how you do your project, or how to do data, or all the elements that you need to include in your project that you are doing this week. So we left off with histogram, and so we did the overview, talked about the numerical analysis. We did the frequency chart and the relative frequencies, built the histogram, and now I'm going to finish up with the numerical analysis, and then the box plot, and then the summary. Okay, so let's move on to the numerical analysis, and we're going to talk about the median, high, low. So we're going to talk right now about these things over here, kind of all fit together, or at least these things here. And then over here, these two things kind of go together. This is kind of one statistical way of looking at variability of data, and this is the other way of looking at variability of data. Now, for those of you who need to understand more about variability of data, I did do a lesson on medians and high-low Q1s and Q3s, the quartiles and the median, and then I did another video on the mean, and then the mean absolute deviation. So you can go back and look at those videos in this playlist as well, if you need to understand these better. I'm just going to go through the mechanics of how you find these in our current data set. Now, I rewrote all the numbers down here, which is something you might need to do if your data set isn't in order, like the data set that I happen to pull off of the web at this URL. So if you order your data like this, you want to count n equals, n equals, and in my case, it's 30. Remember, the number of elements is 30. So if the number of elements is 30, I can take that. If it's an even number, there's going to be two middle numbers, as you will recall from the median lesson that I taught. And so up here I have 15 numbers, and down here I have 15 numbers. So this is the halfway point, right here in the middle. So, what are the two middle numbers? So if you have an even number of elements, you're going to have two middle numbers. And we go over why that's true, again, in the median demo. And so when you're finding the median of a data set with even numbers, you take the average of the two middle numbers. Well, the two middle numbers happen to be both 11.3. So the median of 11.3 and 11.3 is clearly, well, let me just keep those underlined. It's clearly 11.3. So that's my median. My low and my high values are easy. They're the first numbers and the last numbers. So my low number is 9.1. That's Chicago. And my high number is 16.1. So now I have to find Q1. And Q1, remember, is just the median of the lower half of numbers. So my lower half is these 15 numbers right here. These 15 numbers. And so the way that I can find the middle is I can just start and knock off numbers on the outside edges. Keep knocking off 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. I did something wrong. I actually have an extra number in here somewhere. Now I'm going to have to find that. Let's just see. 16.1, 13, 15, 13. So, some of you may have already figured this out. Just fast forward if you're bored, and then you will end up 1, 2, 3, 4, 11.2, 10.8, 10.7, 10.3. Oh, I have one too many 10.3s. That's my problem. I need to get rid of one of my 10.3s. So I have one too many of these. Let me do this. No, not crop. I want select, and I want to take this out. And so now I'm going to do this. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, and then I want 3, 11.3. So these, what did I do? It's interesting that the median is still going to work out to be the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, 14, 15. All right, so yeah, so now I have 15 on top and 15 on the bottom. And it still turns out that the 11.3s are still in the middle, right? That's good. So these are still my two middle numbers. So my high is 16.1. And now my Q1 is halfway through my data set because there's 15 numbers. So if I find the median of the top half, because my top half has only 15 elements, there will be a middle number. When there's an odd number, there is a single middle number, and I can find it by knocking off numbers off the edges. And then I find out that 10.1 right here, that's my, so I'm going to undo all these slashes here. And so 10.1 here is my Q1. This is my Q1. So Q1 is 10.1, right? It's the median of the lower half. And similarly, I want to find the median of the upper half by just, crossing off numbers on the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I have 12.3. So 12.3, this is my Q3, the median of my upper half, which is also my upper quartile. So I have 12.3. Could have found it here really easily, these two numbers right here, halfway, because this is half, and this is half, and halfway down is right here, and halfway across is right there. Could have done it on that data set. But if your data set isn't ordered, you have to write all your numbers out. And so I just wanted to do that with you. Now, my inner quartile range, this is something I realized I did not teach in the quartile video, but all it is so easy. This is the interquartile range. And all that means is you take Q3 minus Q1. That's all it is. So it's 12.3 minus 10.1, and it's 2.2. It's a measure of variability of the middle set of numbers. So if you take the middle set of numbers, this is the middle half of my numbers. It's how far from Q1 to Q3. That's all the interquartile range measures. Okay. The other thing I didn't teach is the mode. This is the most common number. The most common number. And so in this case, our mode, we actually have, let's see, 3 10.3s. We have 4 11.3s. So 11.3 is our most common answer. So our mode is a 11.3. Now, you could have had a mode, you could have looked at the mode in terms of your range, and then we would have said it's 10 to 11. So our mode would be, this would be our mode. Kind of an interest. It's usually more interesting. Mode isn't really so interesting if you have like decimal answers. It's more interesting like if you had like answers like 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. You had discrete, distinct integer responses. Little less interesting when they get into decimals, because truly these 11.3s aren't probably exactly. This is probably like 11.37. This is probably like 11.35, 11.34. So little less interesting. Okay, so now we have answered all of these questions, and these are going to be the key numbers that we're going to need to use in our box plot. So these are our box plotting numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy those over to our box plot, which we're going to do, but we're going to finish our numerical, and let's copy that over to our box plot right here. Put those numbers here. We're going to come back to that in a second. But we're going to finish off with our numerical analysis, calculating the mean and the MAD. Now the MAD is, I don't like red. Red seems like it's something wrong. Let's just use that. So that's our mean absolute deviation. So first thing we want to do when we find this, so the first thing we want to do is find our mean. So our mean, if you recall from our earlier lesson, which I encourage you to go to, I'm not going to explain it fully here, is the sum of our elements divided by the number of elements. And so the sum of all of our elements is, if you add up all these numbers, so the sum is 16.1 plus 13.4 plus 13.1 plus 13, all the way down. We're going to add up every single number on this list, and that's the sum of our elements. And it turns out, if you add that up on your calculator, you get 339.8. And you divide that by the number of elements. Probably should have done this in a different color. And you get 11.3. So that's our mean. Our mean is 11.3. That I think we can write in a different color. So we're going to write our mean equals 11.3. And we're going to need that. Interesting, our mean and our median turned out to be the same thing. It's not nearly always true, but it is true in this case. Now, to get our mean absolute deviation, what we're going to do is we're going to get what we call the absolute deviation for each element. Now, what does that mean? The absolute deviation is the difference between the number for each element and the mean. So in this case, it's 16.1 minus 11.3. 13.4 minus 11.3. And we go all the way down, and we're going to do that subtraction until we get to 11.3. Then we're going to turn it around, and we're going to take 11.3. When we get below it, 11.3 minus the number. And the reason we do that is we're just trying to find how far is each element on average from the mean, the absolute deviation from the mean, whether it's higher or smaller. We want to find out how far it is. So Houston is 4.8 away from the mean. That's our statistical deviation. That's how far above the mean they are. Milwaukee, on the other hand, is only 2.1 away from the mean. Golden State is 1.8 from the mean. And I'm just going to go, what you can do is you can fast forward. I'm just going to go through all the math on all of these and just add it down. You can just fast forward till I have all the numbers filled in to the bottom. 1.4, 1.2. I'm going to end up running out of space maybe. We'll see. I'll try and keep it on the same line. If I get below it, I'm just going to, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make these lines like this to make it easy to see. This is 1.0. This is 0.8, 0.7, 0.6, 0.1, 0, 0, 0. This one's 0. And now we've got numbers that are below the mean, but that's okay. We're just going to subtract that from the mean. So this is still, it's just 0.1 away from the mean. That's what we're trying to find, how far it is, whether it's above or below, how far away is it from the mean. So 11.2 is 0.1 from the mean, as is 11.4. Doesn't matter. 11.3, this is 0.6. This is 1.0, 1.0, 1.0, 1.2, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.4, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, and this is 2.2. So we have all of our numbers. So now what we want to do is find the average distance that everything is away from the mean. And the way that you do that is you just find the sum of the absolute deviations, the absolute differences, the absolute deviations, and divide by the total, which is the number of elements. So that's still 30. Right, so we're going to add up all these numbers and divide by 30. So just give me a second. I'll talk it through on my calculator. 4.8 plus 2.1 plus 1.8 plus 1.7 plus 1.4 plus 1.2 plus 1.2 plus 1 plus 0.8 plus 0.7 plus 0.6 plus 0.1 plus 0.1 plus 0.5 plus 0.6 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1.2 plus 1.2 plus 1.3 plus 1.4 plus 1.6 plus 1.7 plus 1.8 plus 2.2. Enter. And I get 34. So 34 divided by 30 is 1.13. 1.133333. So we'll just leave it at this. So our mean absolute deviation is equal to 1.13. So we're done here. We have our mean and we have our mean average deviation. Now notice that what this number is telling us is that numbers on average are not very far away from the middle. So if our mean is 11.3, we know that if 1.13 is our mean absolute deviation, that a lot of numbers are really close to 11.3. They're usually, on average, only about 1 or 1.1 away from 11.3. And let's see if that looks to be true for us, right? 11.3, well, all of these numbers, all of these guys are within 1.13, and even these guys, these guys are pretty close to 1.13 away or less. We can kind of circle all those numbers. These are really the outliers, the ones that are a lot more than 1.13 away, right? These guys are 1.7. These guys get pretty far away from the middle, as do these. These are kind of our outliers. And that's what the mean absolute deviation and the mean can tell you. It's like let's find all the things that are around the mean that are about this far away, about the mean absolute deviation away. And those are kind of all within norms, right? So that's one way of looking at our data and looking at the variability. Low, again, let's summarize here. The mean absolute deviation being pretty close to 1 and the mean being 11.3 means we have low variability. And again, we can see that almost every data, there's only like 4 data points high and 4 data points low. They're kind of outside of this range. We have low variability of our data. And we know that all the data hovers around 11.3. It's pretty tight. Okay, let's go on to our box plot. Our box plot is going to be pretty fast. So this one's done. We've pretty much done all the work. You're going to see how this works. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Let me move this data over here, so it's not in the way of our box plot. We'll move our box plot kind of over here, and let's do our box plot in like orange. Okay, so the way that we do our box plot is we want to find kind of our low number and our high numbers, 9 and 16. We don't want to put 9 over here if 9.1s are low. We're going to start at about 7. We'll go 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And notice our high is around 16, so we'll have some space on the right. You kind of want your low and your high to not be at the ends. You want to have a little space over here and space over here. So how do we start this? The way I like to start my box plots, and the way I taught it in my box plot lesson, which you could also find online, you start with your Q1, and that's 10.1. So here we go, 10.1. So we're going to draw a line here at 10.1. Then we'll draw another line here at Q3. So we get our Q1 and our Q3, and that's kind of our range. So 12.3 is about right here. And then we draw our box. That's our Q1, and we can label that, right? We can actually do 10.1 and 12.3 if we want to label our Q1 and our Q3. Now we find our median, which is 11.3, which is right about here, and we put that in right here. We can label our median if we want. And then we find our, so there's our median. Now we do our low. Our low is 9.1. We're going to put that right here. And we draw a line like this. And that's a whisker. We can label that 9.1. And now we find our high, and that's 16.1. Wow, we have a long whisker off to the right. This is really an outlier, this Houston Rocket team. 16.1. And there's our box plot. And what does that tell us? And then our interquartile range, again, is 2.2. So we know that that's the distance between Q1 and Q3. So we know that this here is, this is 2.2. We can label that like that if we want to do our IQR. Right, what does this say? So what it says is we have 25% of our data is in each section. So this is 25%. And you're not going to write this on your box plot because anyone reading a box plot knows this. That's 25% from here to here. From here to here, we have 25% of our data. And from here to here, we have 25% of our data. So remember, our data was kind of skewed right. We saw that earlier in our histogram. And so here we kind of see how that, our data, again, is skewed to the right. We see that in our box plot too. And our box plot, we're pretty much done. After we did the numerical analysis and we found these values here, our box plot was pretty straightforward just to go off and draw. And again, we don't know how many data elements. The box plot doesn't tell you how many data elements we have. Doesn't tell you, but it does tell you a little bit about the variability. It tells you about, here's our median. We have a pretty tight variability. It's just like our mean and our MAD showed us. That all of our data, 50% of our data is in this super tight range between 10 and 10.1 and 12.3. We have really tight data here. Even the bottom 25% is only in a range between 9.1 and 10.1 in a 1.0 range. But we have this big skew to the right. We have almost we have 3.8 range on our from our 75th percentile up to our 100th percentile, from our our Q3 all the way up to our very top. We have 3.8. So that's our box plot, and we're almost done. We're almost done. So now we're going to come in to our summary and talk about our data. Now we can go back and look at our data and make some notes. So let's go back and look at each part of the data. We had 30 teams. So we can make that note, right? Let's see. Let's just kind of take some notes on our summary. We had 30 teams. Let's see. What can we take away from our frequency chart? Our frequency chart kind of showed us that there's most of our data was pretty much between 9 and 13. Yeah. Let's see. Let's look at our histogram again. Most of our data was pretty bunched. We could see that we had a low variability. We had compact data, and we had it skewed to the right. And we had an outlier in Houston. We had one data point out here. Everything was almost all in here with one outlier. So skewed right, low variability, skewed right, one outlier. So let's copy that over here to our notes. We had low variability, skewed right, one outlier. Houston was 16.1, I think, was their data value, if I recall correctly. Yeah. Let's see. Let's go to our numerical analysis. Our numerical analysis kind of just fed two of our other charts. Right. Our mean absolute deviation showed a very tight range. We had 1.13 mean absolute deviation. So we can put that in our summary too. So let's put that in our summary. Our low variability, we could see it in the frequency chart, but we really saw it with 11.3, the mean of 11.3 with the 1.13 MAD. That really proved it. That showed us our low variability, right? Our MAD is very small compared to our mean. It's like 10% of our mean. It was skewed right. We could see that from a number. We could see that on our histogram, as well as some other. Our frequency chart showed it to us, and we also saw it on our box plot. Let's see, what else can we say about our data? We had, and our box plot made it really obvious. Again, we had a real tight data range, a really tight set of data with that one outlier. So I think what we can say is, our summary was, really we want to write about our low variability that was skewed right with one outlier. And I didn't necessarily expect that. I really didn't expect to find one club that was so far to the right. I was kind of shocked, surprised, that the Warriors are no longer the leader, but I think they've modified their game. Houston might have gone overboard. Who knows? Are they overboard? In shooting threes, they might be shooting too many. I don't know. They've got, the Warriors kind of dominated them, even without two of their best players, Boogie Cousins and Steph Curry, and Houston was pretty much at full health and couldn't take them. Anyway, I just enjoy talking about basketball, talking about statistics, and hopefully your summary here represents something that you cared about and you found something interesting and you want to talk about it too. All right, let's get out of here. Let's get back to the end. Let's end this video. We'll end it with my beautiful face, and hopefully you have a great time with this project and you learned something and you found it as exciting as I did. And I was glad I was getting to share this with you, and hopefully this was helpful. I'll see you in class.